This morning, when I stepped outside, it was so cold. I had to put on a coat, I had to put on a hat, and I felt very confused because I thought we were in the season of spring, and it's not supposed to be so cold. Do you remember the other day during calendar time when we talked about this cold snap of weather sometimes being called a Dogwood Winter? And just like people a long time ago used to look at the moon phases and the things happening in nature around them to tell what time of the year it was, people can also, a long time ago, people would look to what's happening in nature to be able to predict the weather. That is why we are charting the weather for the next 2 weeks. A long time ago, before there was television, before there were meteorologists, people would have to write the weather down every single day and keep those records until they were able to see patterns in the weather. Remember, patterns are things that repeat themselves. So after a certain amount of time, farmers would look at all of their weather records and say, I know that when I see the dogwoods bloom, that means it's going to be cold for the next couple of days. And they would have to take extreme measures to protect all of their crops. Plants do not do well in cold weather like this. So tonight you're going to need to go outside and you're going to need to cover up all of your little seedlings with a sheet or with an empty flower pot to protect them from the frost that happens during the Dogwood Winter, around mid to late April every year. The next winter that we are going to have happens in May, and farmers call this the whippoorwill winter. Listen to the whippoorwill song. Whippoorwills are nocturnal birds, and they migrate. So when farmers would hear the whippoorwill in the early evening or early morning when it was still dark outside, they knew that the whippoorwills had returned from their migration, and they knew that a little cold snap was coming. And so that next winter is going to happen sometime in May. But that would be something interesting that you could research today with your parents. Here I am in my attic at my weather window. Outside it looks kind of cloudy today. So I'll add a tally mark under the cloudy category. If you want to take this further and add categories for how it feels outside, you could add a warm category and a cold category. For the next 14 days, how many days has it been above 40 degrees? So let's do this maybe down here. Above, I'll make a plus sign. above 40 degrees. And how many days has it been below? I'll make a minus sign. Below 40 degrees. Actually, I tell you what, we're going to learn some new symbols. I'm going to erase the addition and subtraction sign. That's kind of misleading. We're going to do greater and less than symbols. So how many days has it been greater than 40 degrees? How many days has it been less than 40 degrees? Not sure if you can see those. So when we do calendar in a second, I'll show you close up. But I'll go on and say that today is definitely less than 40 degrees. Yesterday I remember it being in the 50s, so that's greater than 40. So I'll make a tally mark there. At school, do you remember that when it is greater than 40 degrees, you get to do something fun on the playground? Remember? You don't have to wear your coat. So it is less than 40 degrees today. You will definitely need a coat on when you go outside. All right, good morning, boys and girls. Let's do calendar really fast, and then we'll do a lesson on greater than and less than symbols, so we can add to our weather windows. So really fast, it is, oh goodness, it is not the 13th. Oh yeah, it's not the 13th, it's the 14th. Sorry, I thought that we had not been doing our calendar correctly, but we have, don't worry. Okay, so it is Tuesday, April the 14th. We are in the season of spring, even though it doesn't really feel that way. My weather gnomes at my house say that it is cloudy outside. Sorry that my dogs are barking. They like to play up here in the attic. So, it is cloudy outside. We are doing weather windows, and the new categories that we talked about adding were days that it's less than 40 and days that it's greater than 40 degrees. So let's look at these symbols that I'm talking about here for a second. Okay. Greater than, less than, and equal. Greater than. 5 is greater than 3. 10 is greater than 4. You think of one. Less than. 10 is less than 20. 10 is less than 11. Now you think of one. And then equal. 10 is equal to 10. 1 is equal to 1. You think of one. Remember, equal means they can be the same. Okay, so I'm going to give you some numbers. I'm going to make 2 columns of numbers right now. And in the middle, you are going to either draw the greater than, less than symbol, or equal to, or you can just shout it out at your house. All right, so let's see. 10 and 6. 10. You hear Ollie. and 19. 10 and 1. 10 and 100. 10 and 10. All right, so you got these numbers copied down. Here we go. 10 is greater than, less than, or equal to 6. 10 is greater than. And if you need help figuring this out, you can always get your bowl of buttons or objects that you have at your house and count out 10, count out 6, and see which one is more. Which one has more objects? If you need an extra reminder. Okay? You can also do dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, you can do it that way too. But 10 is greater than 6. It is bigger. It is more. 10 is greater than, less than, or equal to 19. 10 is less than 19. It is less than 19. One kind of fun way to remember these different symbols is that these little arrows pointing one way or the other, the big open part of the arrow will always be facing the bigger number. So that's a good way to remember which symbol to use. So do you see how the big part of this arrow is facing the 10? The big part of the arrow faces the big number. The big part of this arrow is facing the bigger number, the number that is greater. So it's facing the 19 because 10 is less than 19. 10 is greater than, less than, or equal to 1. 10 is greater than 1. See how the big part of the arrow is facing the bigger number, the greater number. 10 is greater than, less than, or equal to 100. 10 is definitely less than 100. 10 is greater than, less than, or equal to 10. That was a tricky one. Trick question. Those are the same numbers, so we would write an equal sign. 10 is equal to 10. Okay? So when we're talking about tracking the weather, lost my eraser here, and we want to know or keep track of what days are greater than or less than 40 degrees, days that are greater than 40 degrees, days that are less than 40 degrees. Okay, so if today the high outside is, I don't know, I don't even know what the high is supposed to be, 46, let's say. Let's say the high today is 46. Is 46 greater than 40 degrees or less than 40 degrees? 46 is greater than. 46 degrees is greater than 40 degrees. Tonight, the low is supposed to be, I don't know, like 30, 29 degrees. Is 29 degrees greater than 40 or less than 40? It's definitely less than. 29 degrees is less than 40 degrees. All right, so that's how we'll keep track of the temperature outside for your weather window. And remember, why did farmers a long time ago, why was it important for them to track the weather every single day? Remember, they did not have television a long time ago. They did not have meteorologists. They were the meteorologists. So we kind of took a little detour with this math lesson today. We were supposed to do our lightning experiment and read about lightning. Let's put that off until tomorrow. And today I'd like for you to work on the greater than, less than lesson and fixing your weather window to include these two new categories. So I'll go and show you what you need for tomorrow. Tomorrow might be better to do this experiment anyway, because I'll tell you what, I tried to do this yesterday and it did not work. And I think it was because there was too much moisture in the air. So for tomorrow, just as a reminder, for our lightning in a jar experiment, you're going to need a balloon. And you're going to need a glass jar with a metal lid. You're going to need aluminum foil folded. It's okay if it doesn't come up on the sides. It just needs to line the bottom of your jar. You'll need to have that ready. You will need a dryer sheet. And then I said thumbtacks the other day. Sorry, my dogs are out of control today. But I use nails. So it's anything that is metal. Thumbtacks or nails. And I poked those things through the dryer sheet to cover up the mouth of the jar so you can put the lid on. So those are the things that you're going to need to have ready for tomorrow's experiment. And we'll do it tomorrow. Hopefully maybe it'll be a drier day. There won't be so much moisture in the air. And we'll talk about why that's important tomorrow. So we'll do lightning in a jar. We will read a little bit about lightning and storms. This book is fun. I think you'll like it. It's called Flash, Crash, Rumble, and Roll. Fun book that we'll read tomorrow. And I think that's all you will need to have ready for tomorrow's lesson. One last thing before we go, I wanted to point out that the last time we checked out our moon phases was the pink full moon. That was last week. So that was on April the 7th was our last full moon. It is April the 13th. No, it's April the 14th now. Look at what kind of moon is in the sky tonight. You can see, if you said quarter moon, you are correct. A half moon. So we are exactly in the middle of this current moon cycle. So how many days ago, if it was April the 7th, and it's the 14th, how many days ago was the full moon? Take a little bit of time to count that right now. Today's April 14th. It is a quarter moon. How many days ago was the full moon? And if the new moon looks like it's going to be on April 22nd, how many days until the new moon is here? And if you add all those numbers up, you can figure out how many days are in one moon cycle. So we can talk about that tomorrow too. So go outside, put on your coat tonight, see if you can see the quarter moon. And then from here on out, it's going to start waning and getting smaller and smaller until the 22nd, when the sun will not be shining on the moon at all, or any parts that we can see. All right, you will have a good Tuesday. Stay warm, and I will see you tomorrow.